Discuss take action on Somervell County Grant Program reporting requirements pertaining to American Rescue Plan. This is a situation that Haley and Richard have been working on. It is to pertain to, I believe, Richard, you jump in here, pertaining to some of the interest money maybe accumulated on the ARPA money. All right, well, I'll let you explain it, and I'll get out of your business.
These are federal funds that were given to Somervell County that went off of population. That money has been in the bank and has been drawing interest. And we just want to assist and help out some of the nonprofits that want to apply for some money that needs.
And it's pretty stringent, what Haley and Richard have put together based on some other applications. It goes in depth, discusses ineligible or faith-based causes of benefiting only members of a certain faith, research, fundraising, scholarships, loss that bears no relation or grossly disproportionate to the type of extent of harm experienced due to COVID, contributions to rainy day funds, financial services, or similar funds. The application review criteria, the evaluations considered the organization if it is qualifying, demonstrated financial impact, ARPA eligibility, long-term sustainability, project location, project program must fall within Somervell County, the project or program's benefits to Somervell County residents, project or program budget is provided reasonable and aligns with eligible expenses categories, funding needs, organization provides a well-defined, clear funding need evident through the budget provided, and physical and administrative capacity to administer these funds in compliance with the requirements. And then they have to go through, fill this out, get it notarized, it's brought back to the court for review, then the court decides if you want to approve it or not approve it and the amount that they're requesting. I think you want to put a deadline on it, didn't you?
30 days. And this is something that the surrounding counties have already done. It's nothing that we made up. I just think that y'all need to know that.
And I'm not getting in your business, it's 30 days. Won't be long enough. Would you rather do June meeting, regular meeting, have that? Because right now, 30 days, it won't even be 30 days, you know, until next. And if we get a motion, we get a second, then we'll move forward and set on deadline. I don't know what the June date is. Like I
So how
said,
much we planning on spending of the money that we've already got allocated?
there you go, there's it.
That money has been drawing interest, so I'm not sure how much exactly is in there, but it'll be done on a case-to-case basis.
No, I'm talking about the amount of money you're putting up to be available to give it out.
Do you have an idea like per application, or have you thought about that yet?
I mean, it just all depends on how many people apply for it.
Understand, but we put
Yeah,
the
I
ARPA funds for the fire
understand.
station.
Yeah, I understand that, but that money's, like I said, it's been drawing interest. I don't no bigger than we are. I don't know how much interest would be shown in this application, but I'm not looking to spend more than 1 month's maybe worth of interest in there, which is right at, isn't it about 26,000?
I don't know anything about this, so I
So
don't
if
have
you
any
get-
numbers.
If you get 10 applications and they all are approved, and you're looking 2,000 or 3,000 each application, something like that.
Yeah, we just split it up however.
Well, I don't have a problem with it as long as there's a number that we're looking at. I mean, we're
Not to
looking at
exceed.
all our interest and growth and stuff.
No, I don't look to do that.
It's not that I want to give the money, it's just one, I just want it to be a value to it.
Stipulation.
We're not cleaning it up. We're not cleaning it like that. I'm just giving us
If the fire project goes over, we're interested, we can finish paying for that.
Exactly. And I think one of the main ones that came to Richard, and I'm not trying to get any business, I think was the food pantry. They need some help to get through, but then Richard and I discussed it's not fair if we try to help one without giving it out for everybody to at least have a chance to apply. So that's what got this ball rolling, wasn't it? That's, just felt like that we just couldn't do it for one, if we didn't let everybody.
Oh, sure.
If y'all decide to move forward with that.
Can we do this on, I think that's what I'm hearing that we're looking at doing anyway, is obviously on a case by case. And just, can we say, not to exceed 1 month interest or something to that effect? And I mean, we don't put a dollar on it today necessarily, but we can research that and just say, I'm asking, is that cool to do that? And
That's
if
how
we
y'all want to
say-
make the most.
And we don't have to spend it all. If we have two entities, we don't have to split a month's interest and we can go up to that, and then we can decide, based on their application and whatnot, how much to work. Because, I mean, this is a chance for us to use the ARPA funds. One of the things it was intended to use for was to help local things like this. And we can give back to our folks, let's give back to our folks. But we don't wanna not be able to fund the fire station either out of it. But if we're looking at 1 month's worth, I don't think that's,
Mark, do you remember,
That's such an
the
issue.
interest on that?
We have about $200,000 that y'all have accumulated since the time that I'm actually looking at your account balance. As of last month was $1,922,881.68, and y'all received $1.7 million, 1.733, I believe. So there's been about $200,000 of interest that has been accumulated. And, I can't tell you exactly what the month is, that's back to the treasurer had stated, but I want to say that it may be around $20,000 a month. With interest being like it is, being at 5%, it's been real good. I think your first year, you didn't hardly get anything. But, so if you wanted to say something along those lines of 1 month's interest, maybe 2, we can discuss some more. I know we'll probably have some other discussion because I know y'all committed this money, one to the fire station, I know also to the radio system.
Yep.
And so we're gonna need to kind of look at the overall budget and then also determine how much, let's call it, how much you're gonna have to take out of reserves to make sure we cover all these projects we've committed to. But following the thinking that you're doing is absolutely legal and in some way was intended to be. I can tell you that they weren't expecting the interest rates to be 5% back then either. So, this is a good opportunity for you to do something.
well, and it's interesting to note that some of our neighboring counties received 12, 13, $15 million.
40 million.
$40 million, yeah. And we received 1.7 and some change, just as a side note.
Right.
Not trying to do anything but whine, I guess.
Ann, you have a question?
Well, what are you going, how is the nonprofit going to know that what are you gonna designate it for? I mean, because, like, the food pantry, he brought that up, they service the community through that. Then, what other programs other nonprofit programs are you gonna allow to apply for it? I think you need to look at your parameters and think about it, and then you're saying that it shouldn't exceed 1 month's interest, but then you have no dollar amount to actually state that the grant, or the grant's gonna be $10,000 this go around, and we're gonna split it, if you're talking about splitting it between 5 nonprofits that apply, that's $2,000. You defeated part of the purpose of some of that funding being used, and then you don't ever want it to reach to where you're gonna touch the principal. You're only gonna make it to where you're actually gonna only use the interest, so that the core is never really used except for the funding that it was meant to be done with. Possibly, should we look at revisiting this with some parameters set into it, some guidelines for what the nonprofits actually can and cannot apply for,
That's laid
the
out
dollar
pretty good.
amounts that you're looking at,
That's not laid out.
and what they actually, and that the nonprofit needs to be a 501 C3, and that they need to be able to provide that documentation. And there's a lot of other things that need to go into this before you just kind of say, and I'm not shutting down this, nor am I shutting down giving, the food bank, Papa's Pantry, any money. I'm just saying that if you're gonna do it, we need to be able to account for how it's followed. And there's, nonprofits have state guidelines and federal guidelines also within their own parameters, so.
And you was only gonna want to do it like one time, right?
Right.
It was gonna be whoever got it to us by June 10th, then the applications are closed. That's the money you give out, if you give out any, and then it's done. You don't review it again.
Oh, so this is a one-time,
One and done.
okay, I missed that in there, but I'm still telling you, there's got to be something else kind of put in there.
Haley and I put together pretty good of what, who can and who can't. I know y'all did, there's a whole lot of can'ts, and there's a few that can. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
And it is
And it's-
special ones.
It's a lengthy it's a lengthy application, so we
Okay,
take the time to do it.
you just skimmed it, is what you did,
Yeah,
okay.
it's very lengthy, and then they're supposed to get notarized and back to the court to review. Well, who thinks they wanna try to make that motion if they wanna make it? Who's gonna go down that path? I'm gonna stay out of it. All right, how you gonna word it? I don't know. All right, you'd like to go out for the grant program reporting requirements, Somervell County American Rescue Plan. Have them back to us by 8:30 a.m. on June the 10th for the court's review. And it's a one and done, right?
Yes.
Whoever applies on this first round, and that's it. And how are y'all gonna do the money? Are you gonna say not to exceed 30,000, or are you gonna say not to exceed 1 month's interest? How do you want to do the money?
Not to exceed 30,000.
Not to exceed 30,000. Okay. Well, Michelle, what all we just say?
Okay, so you mentioned, to take action on Somervell County Grant Program and reporting requirements. And it's gonna be brought back to the court by 8:30 a.m. for the court's review on June 10th. It is not to exceed 30,000, and it is a one-time application process.
And they need to understand that's not to exceed total applications of 30,000.
Doesn't mean we have to spend 30.
That's right.
We just can't go over 30.
That's right. So whoever applies and picks up whatever, make sure I got the paper out before we screw up here again. Yeah, Commissioners, Monday, June 10th. Okay. Well, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second from Tammy. Any further questions, comments, issues, which we'll try to do?
Our county attorneys have, we're good with this?
I don't know how far Trey and Richard have been involved in this. I don't know.
I haven't seen that actual application, so I really don't know. I think you did need a dollar amount, which you've got, as Ann pointed out earlier, I think, yeah, because when you get into 1 month interest, which has been taken care of, then folks will, if somebody gets short a little bit, they're gonna go, were you talking about last June, or were we talking about, this last month?
Right.
But I honestly haven't looked at it, so I'm not sure.
Will this be advertised?
Yeah, I think it does need to be advertised for sure.
So the process can be done, what you're saying, we can do this with interest?
Yeah, because I think that's just your using your general guidelines. I think you're using the ARPA money, as Mark said, it's totally legal. He's looked into it. If you guys want to spend some of that money for this, you can.
And it'll be case by case basis, who gets and who gets upset. All right. I have a motion, I have a second. Do I have any more discussion?
So you're gonna dispense $30,000 one time,
Up to, not necessarily 30.
Right.
Up to that, just can't go over that.
okay, up to $30,000 one time.
Yes.
If you have one applicant or you have 50 applicants that fall under the grant, you're gonna take that $30,000 and divide it by however many applicants that you approve.
And it has a dollar amount that they're supposed to request, what they're requesting,
Okay,
and then the court would have to determine, what dollar amount do they actually get. Does that make sense?
yes, it does.
All right. All right, so I have a motion.